What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another live stream here on Rangers Central. And we got some breaking news as the New York Rangers officially hire Mike Sullivan. And I phrased that in the title for now, just because of the fact that it's not technically official. So I thought about waiting to do this live stream in case, things happen and it doesn't become official. But I'm so sure that it's becoming official that I'm willing to do the live stream now. And I'm doing this because of the fact that we've heard multiple reports today. Vince starting it off by saying this was during the afternoon where he was saying that they're closing in on a deal and, you know, it's getting there. Pretty much that's what he was saying. And then Emily Kaplan reiterated that tonight by saying pretty much the same exact thing, that they're inching closer towards a deal, which was encouraging to hear another reporter say it. And in that thread, she also said that John Tortorella potentially will be coming here as, well, she didn't say the role, but it's most likely going to be as an assistant coach. But we got a lot to get into here because we're going to talk about Mike Sullivan as a coach, going to talk about what this means for the Rangers going forward. Do I like it? Do I hate it? Am I somewhere in the middle? Who knows? You guys will find out. And then I will, of course, hear what you guys think. Please be sure to leave a like on your way into the live stream, or if you're watching on replay, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel, especially if you're Ranger fans, and turn on your notifications so you know when I upload or go live here on Rangers Central. Now, how do I feel about this? And as I have comments saying, of course you hate it, when I literally have not opened my mouth in one bit of the way of my opinion. But either way, where do I lie in all of this? I am somewhere in the middle on this because it is an upgrade over Peter Laviolette. It is an upgrade. The thing, though, is because I want to proceed with caution on this one. That's really how I want to go about this. And I brought it up in my last live stream that there are things that concern me that happened in Pittsburgh, that happened during the Four Nations even. And then, of course, there are things that I like because I don't want to shy away from the fact of two things. And this goes both ways because there was this whole, we said it going into the offseason. I at least said, I want them to hire a new first-time head coach, new blood. And I said, the only retread that I'd be fine with is a guy like Mike Sullivan. So they end up getting Sullivan. And I'm sitting here again. I'm trying to proceed with caution on this one, is really what I'm getting at here. Because a lot of the things that we're pointing out that we love about Mike Sullivan, X's and O's, Barker, in terms of he will discipline these guys, and won multiple Stanley Cups. Outside of the multiple Stanley Cups thing, and we're talking about one, these are the same things we talked about when they hired Peter Laviolette. So that's one thing I have to point to. And then the other thing, too, is everyone's pointing to the 5v5 stats. Laviolette had good 5v5 stats in Nashville. I'm going to point out the bad before I get to the good. So stop saying, how are you mad? Stop this, stop that. Relax. I'm going to get to both angles here because there is two angles here. Which is, again, why I feel in the middle. I think it's pretty fair to feel that way. Considering what we've seen from this organization, it's pretty fair. The negative things about it. The idea of going back to the well, that's where I'm like hesitant about this because you're going back to the well with both Torts and Mike Sullivan here. It's very bizarre. It is very bizarre because, again, I really felt like a first-time head coach was needed here. They need to develop their own guy and find. And this is where, again, I feel different, and I know people are not going to care about this the way that I do. But the thing that I care about and I feel personally is you need to find your own version of Mike Sullivan. You need to find your own version of a John Cooper. You need to find your own Jared Bednar. Like, that's something that that's just how I feel personally because they're giving Mike Sullivan, by the way, the largest contract in head coaching history, which I don't know the details in terms of the term, how long that will be. If I had to guess, it'll be 4 or 5 years. I'm just, again, that's what my assumption is, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't love that. And the decision making, there's things that I don't like. And again, I will get to the positives. Relax, people. I will get to the positives. The other thing that I don't love is, like I said, certain decisions. I don't love how Kyle Connor was scratched for Chris Kreider in the Four Nations. There was no reason to do that. He's the same coach that played Jeff Carter till the wheels fell off. And the other thing that I'm very worried about is this is the same head coach that blew a 3-1 series lead to a Gerard Gallant coach team. Now, I know people are going to say, but they had a third string goalie. This team has Igor. Fair. But at the same time, we also correlate that to Crosby going down. So does he need a guy like Sidney Crosby here? Because if that's the case, this team does not have a Sidney Crosby. So if he needs a Sidney Crosby to help him out and really help, again, the guys around, which is true because guys around Sidney Crosby obviously get better. But the thing is that, again, like that worries me a little bit because the biggest thing here, and this really ties more to the organization than Sullivan himself, and I want to make that very clear. The thing that concerns me is that Chris Drury's still the GM. And like we've talked about for months on end, for some of us, even a year now, a full calendar year now, what we've talked about is the personnel good enough? And Chris Drury's responsible for it. The answer is flat out, simply no. Absolutely not. The personnel is not good enough. It does not matter who the coach is. And we have said that for a very long time now. We've even said they could hire Scotty Bowman and it does not matter because of how piss poor the personnel is and how these guys are checked out. So Drury's got his work cut out for him to bring in guys that will actually play the right way under Mike Sullivan. So we do have to see how July and August transpire before we could come to a full conclusion on that front, of course, which I don't have confidence in Drury fulfilling that, but I'm willing to wait before I judge. I will wait before I judge on that front. So those are things that do worry me, though, because this team does not have a Jake Gensel either, which he did have in Pittsburgh. And the other thing, too, I mean, when he won those cups in Pittsburgh, those teams were deep. I mean, Phil Kessel was on their third line. That team was unbelievable. And then you had Letang in his prime. Like, this team doesn't have those type of guys. This team does not have those kind of guys, which is a problem, which, again, that's where Drury's guys' work cut out for him. The positives on Sullivan are similar, like I said, to Laviolette when they first hired him. The 5v5 thing. When you look at the 5v5 stats, they are there. He is a guy that has X's and O's. I think he's a lot more adaptable than Laviolette. He's an upgrade over Laviolette in that way, in a couple other ways. But I love how adaptable he is compared to Laviolette. He's willing to adjust things on the fly. I at least think from what I've heard. I want to make that clear. But he's a guy that's willing to make the adjustments needed, where Laviolette, we were screaming for half the season, get off the man-on-man system, let's go, and switch to a zone defense. At least with Sullivan, I don't think we have to worry about that as much. I think he's someone that is going to be, I think he's more up to date with the NHL in that regard, in that way. The other positive, like I mentioned before, is the discipline fact. But again, this has to come down to now disciplining the right guys, because I do not want to see what we have seen under the past two coaches. I don't want to see it is just the young guys and the top guys get no repercussions for their poor play. If that's the case, then we're just hiring the same man with a different face. So, and I personally am not willing, because is the criticism that with Mike Sullivan, oh, he doesn't develop young guys and he's not good at handling that. I will actually defend Sullivan in that regard, because I don't think it's fair to judge him on that when what young talent has Pittsburgh really had to supplement around their aging roster, where Mike Sullivan even gets the chance to play them. I mean, outside of Jake Gensel, who became who he did, really, who else is like a young talent that Pittsburgh has had come up as of lately or as of recently, where it's like, yeah, Mike Sullivan needs to play him, and you could chalk it up to him for not developing. I can't remember a time. Maybe I'm wrong. You guys could point out in the chat if I am wrong. So that's something that I will say, but the jury's out on that, because he hasn't had a lot of young talent to work with, but now he's going to. So now you need to show me that you're going to actually utilize these guys the right way. Otherwise, none of this matters, because again, you're just going to be hiring the same guy, because the core is not good enough. The back end, the blue line, not good enough. And we've talked about how uncoachable these guys are. And I want to make it clear too that I do not want to. I want everyone to be reminded of this as I'm talking about this here on May 1st. I want everyone to remember this when we are in October and in November. Do not take early victory laps if things are going right under Mike Sullivan. Please wait, because I would love if things go right, but we have to remember how things have gone under the past two coaches now. Which is why, again, I am sitting here, and my position on this, just to summarize it before I get to the chat and see what you guys think about this, my position on this is I am proceeding with caution. And I get that people are going to say it's the pussy way to approach this, the cowardly way to approach this, whatever you may will. But that's where I am, because I cannot sit here after the way the past two coaches have went down, even though Mike Sullivan has a better track record, and even though Mike Sullivan is an upgrade over the past two coaches, I cannot sit here and tell myself things are going to be different until proven otherwise. That's where this team as a whole and this management group, every single bit of the organization is in a, you need to show me for me to believe in you again. You have to buy me back in for me to actually get there. Like, you have to show me for me to buy back in, is what I'm trying to say here. So until then, I can't sit here and judge one way or the other. I'm sorry. And I get that people are on cloud nine about it and absolutely love and adore this. And I get that there's some people that don't like the hire. I think somewhere in the middle is where it is right to be, personally, because you have people that are making the 94 comparisons again, as always. How, oh, another coach, another Mike they're hiring, look out. If it works out like 94, I am the last guy complaining. The last guy complaining. But again, the jury is completely out on that, and I have to see it to believe it, because this core and this management group just completely has me in a state where I just have no belief in them, and to where I can't ignore what I've said for months, and that is this team is uncoachable. So make changes, make the right changes, and then I will be able to judge this as time goes on. And that's really the problem here. I just cannot judge this right now. So yeah, leave a like if you haven't, subscribe, all that other stuff. Let me see what you guys are saying currently in the chat. In case you are late to the live stream, missed it, it is unofficially official that the Rangers are hiring Mike Sullivan. as the head coach, and it is unofficially official that John Tortorella is going to be the assistant head coach, most likely, for this team. Again, I'm just going live because I'm so convinced it's going to happen, to where why not? Because it's better to go live now than if it breaks tomorrow morning, then it's like I'd rather just go live tonight when I'm more available, more on the ready, and I have my thoughts kind of built up. Considering all day I've been chomping at the bit to talk about this, so yeah. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Again, I get people are not going to agree with me and not be happy with my stance on this. I get it, but I also want to look at this from both angles, because I don't want to do what I did with the past two coaches. That's really the thing here, where I just have personally, I have trauma, because with Gerard Gallant, when they hired him, there were flaws that people pointed out about him, and I did the whole cover one ear, shut up, I don't want to hear you thing. With Peter Laviolette, I did the same exact thing when they hired him. Again, I think Sullivan is an upgrade over the two, but I am proceeding with caution. And that's really what it comes down to. Thank you for the $2. The NY or Nobody put this story on the cover of Big Whoop magazine. Well, thank you for the $2. I appreciate that. So yeah, I don't know. It's just, maybe some of you guys agree. Maybe some of you guys, again, I won't, I never please anyone or everyone anyway, so it is what it is. But I just can't sit here and sell myself one way or the other based on how things went down with the last two coaches. And this is really what the problem is here. With the same gutless core, we will get the same gutless end result. That's really my biggest problem here. And again, I really just, I have my reservations, because there is also something to be said about how few, I think it was 3 coaches, maybe, because I said 1 the other day. I think I was wrong about that. I think it's 3 coaches in NHL history, the entire existence of the NHL. 3 coaches have won cups in multiple destinations. It is it's 95% confirmed that they are going to be here. We got the reports from Emily Kaplan and Vince Mercogliano that they are in deep talks, which pretty much means that a deal is going to get done by tomorrow or the next day, if I had to put money on that. Vince's pod interviewed someone from the Pens, and he described him as a mainly veteran first coach, which makes me nervous getting the most out of guys like Laff, Berard, and Othman. This is my point. This is my point. If this is the case, like, this is where we have problems, where is the difference between what we're at right now and what it could be? What's the difference at that point? That's my biggest problem in all of this, if that ends up being the case. And if that ends up being the case, then just move those guys. Move them. Why are you even going to bother then? I think solely moving Fox down to the third pair off the power play in Four Nations hopefully is a good sign. He will make adjustments based on play. That's what I'm hoping, and that's something that I was going to bring up, in my positive front, which I did forget to bring up, is that he did do that, but at the same time, it's like, again, if these guys are getting disciplined in the national tournaments and everything, and these are your best players here, what does that say about what you have? It says you're not good enough. It says you're not good enough. That's the biggest problem here. And this is really it. Again, nothing is going to change if the roster decisions are piss poor like they've been. It's just I can't ignore that we've talked about this for months now. And scratch Connor for Kreider. That and like I said, he played Jeff Carter until the wheels fell off of him. Which is why, again, I'm not sitting here saying that it is a terrible hire, it is a disaster, this and that. I am sitting here saying that it is not the slam dunk that people think that it is. Which is why, again, people won't like that I'm taking this approach, but I am in the middle on this hire. Which I'm sure either way that I will get people saying, oh, you hate it, or oh, you're giving him too much credit. Again, you can't win on the internet here. You just can't. People are going to make it a big deal because of their success in the Four Nations, but we also don't have Matthews or Brady or Larkin or Sullivan. This, again, is my point. This is my point. And especially a guy like a Sullivan, the back end is just the defense is just not good. It's just not. And this is my biggest problem that I didn't even get into, and I don't know how I didn't. My biggest problem is with this hire, are you delaying the inevitable yet again? Are you delaying the inevitable by keeping the band together for longer than you should? That's the thing. Look on the bright side, we'll hire Cassidy in 2 years. Yep. And yeah, I mean, there is no slam dunk with this core, but that's just really the thing. It's like people are talking like this is a slam dunk hire, and again, you're entitled to your own opinion. I just don't see it in that light. I just do not see it in that light at all because I think that there are things that you just can't ignore at all. And I mean, this is really it that I can't disagree with, that they're pretty much on Igor's clock now that Drury extended him. That's kind of the issue here, and that's where the biggest problem has been all along, is that they're going the direction they're going, and it's just still something that I personally am having a hard time accepting. I've tried because it's something that's out of my control, but it doesn't make it any less infuriating. And this is, again, why you need to make the changes necessary, because Sullivan style, speed, dump, forecheck, this core does not have any of those traits at all. Not at all. So I don't know how much could get done this offseason, but Drury, like I said, he really has his work cut out for him to make this work. This is a Penguins fan jumping in. His style is outdated, loves dump and chase, and we suck 3-on-3 because he refused to make the team practice it. Awesome to hear. Awesome to hear. No, I do appreciate like you giving the honesty and giving the input. Like I seriously do appreciate that, but Gosh. Gosh. Just awesome. And I listen, I'm not this is what I'm saying with time to wake up. Like this team doesn't have all that, right? It's the thing. And the whole thing of people that are like, well, Sullivan and Torts are really going to get this core in shape. Like they're going to yell at them. Okay, that's great, but they're just going to be checked out then again. Like the shouting thing is going to get exhausting to them and they'll be checked out once again. And we're going to sit here having the same conversation. Like that's the issue here, which again, you have to move the core, make changes to the core. And no, I can't imagine Panarin dumping and chasing, which is why I think that with Sullivan coming in and Torts coming here potentially as an assistant, Panarin's not going to resign here after this year. If I had to make an early prediction on that, I have nothing to indicate that. I'm just going based on a gut feeling. That's my prediction. Imagine we trade for Gensel instead of Borgen. Would have worked out perfectly. Wouldn't it have? And I agree with this. I mean, I would do it, but will management? I don't know. And that's the issue here. I don't know. There's just so much to this to where we went over the positives here, Robert. I don't know what to tell you, man. We went over the positives. But the problem also is again, it's hard to be positive when this this core is rotten. Also, in other news I didn't even address, Joe Micheletti ended up retiring, which thought I might as well bring that up. I'll address this in a minute, by the way. But like I was saying, yeah, Joe Micheletti retired, and I'm honestly happy that he went with Sam. And I've been critical of Joe in the booth, but it does hurt from a childhood standpoint just seeing the two of them now both leave the booth at the same time. So, and there is this part of me that will miss the right there's the he's a hardworking kid, and then they go to work, all the other things that he would say. But I also really respect Joe Micheletti for letting Sam have the spotlight on the season and then announcing his retirement later on. Like I think that he did that intentionally, and I respect the absolute hell out of that from Joe Micheletti. Like even though again some of the stuff he'd say in the booth was a little a little interesting at times, he's still a great guy like deep down. And I hope all the best for him in retirement. And now I would absolutely love if Brian Boyle or Ryan Callahan replaces him in the booth, or rotate between the two, whatever you want to do. I'd be a fan. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting though. An entire new booth next year, which is going to be very weird. It's going to be very, very weird. But I'm very happy that he went out with Sam. To answer this question, who did I want as the head coach? I don't know. I honestly do not know. The guys that I liked were David Carl, who is never coming here. And then my next choice would have been Jeff Halpern, who's been working with Tampa. But now with the John Cooper news that came out recently, I don't know if they're going to let Jeff Halpern go anywhere because he's probably going to be next in line now if Cooper's actually going to leave for Utah after the season. But those were the two guys that I really liked as options. I just wanted to see them go in a direction where they develop their own next great head coach. Um, there's another comment I wanted to pull up here. Where is it? Uh, why can't I find it? I don't know. I can't find it for whatever reason. And yeah, like it was obvious once Sullivan was let go that this was going to happen. And it's still not official. Again, that's why I have unofficially official in the title. And I will change that probably by tomorrow morning. Because if I had to guess, if I had to make a prediction, it's done by tomorrow morning. But it just, I had a feeling it would happen. And every single reporter felt the same way. It's just that, again, I'm like, I can't get as excited as I want to. That's the thing that's annoying. It's like 2 years ago, like when they were hiring Laviolette, if they hired Sullivan then, I would have been to the moon and I would have been really excited and I would have felt good. But now that this core is older and it feels like they need to move on, it just feels like you're putting a band aid on a bullet sized wound. But again, if I'm wrong, I'm very happy to be wrong. I just I just have my questions. I really do. I'm just proceeding with caution here. But yeah, I think I got all my thoughts in. So we will talk about this more as the off season goes on. Of course, there will be more live streams, more episodes. So be on the lookout for all that. Thank you everyone for tuning in and watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Turn on your notifications so you know when I upload or go live. And I'll see you guys in the next one.